Alright, this is the question. It says, I wish for you to make a video that's 30 to 60 minutes long talking about Jenny and how she saved you from a reckless Yang lifestyle. And the person says, I hope that you'll get emotional in the video if you decide to do it. So this video I'm talking about how Jenny has changed my life and my direction in martial arts and everything. My whole life I was searching for love, I feel. You know what I mean? That's something that was just deep in me, to want to connect to a woman in a very deep and intimate way. And when I was growing up, I didn't really have too much success with the woman. It was just hard for me. I was very shy and things like that, and very unexpressive, and had an inability to express myself and be open and natural, around women. So, the beautiful woman would basically bring out a lot of insecurity within myself and a lot of self-doubt, a lot of it would bring in a way, fear and rejection, maybe, of them not accepting me or whatever. So when I started training the martial arts, it got me to build more confidence in myself, and just basically it led me to learning to be myself. Because eventually the physical training turned mental and spiritual, and it got me to seek out knowledge and wisdom. Before then, I never really even picked up a book. But then when I started training the martial arts, after a few years into it, I got the interest of starting to read. First started off with people buying me books as gifts about the martial arts, and then I started to read up on Bruce Lee's philosophies. And it wasn't until then that I saw the beauty, I realized the beauty of reading books. Before then, I never went to the libraries, never went to the bookstore, just hung out with my friends, played basketball all day, exercised all day, played video games, do stupid things with my friends. But until then, I didn't really know the beauties of knowledge and wisdom. And then you go into the library, go into the bookstore, you see all these books everywhere, and it was just such a beautiful thing. And then I started to read up on a lot of things to better myself. Started up reading up on things to conquer my fears and insecurities. And then as I started reading, I started to basically build upon my mental and spiritual strength. And there was a time period where I considered that I became awakened, meaning enlightened, and having an understanding of finally allowing myself to be myself, regardless of what anybody thought. And it was pretty much at that time that Jenny came into my life. And as soon as we met, we kicked it off, and we got very serious. I was a very intense person, very passionate person, that whoever I was with, I put my all into the person. And when I met her, I put my whole life meaning into her. I pretty much dropped everything. I even pretty much stopped training in the martial arts, the fighting aspect of it, because I didn't really feel any purpose to it. Because I was I find so much more joy being intimate with Jenny and spending time with her and just exercising for fitness than fighting. So I stopped training in combat techniques for a while, maybe 1 or even 2 years, and I only did the fitness. But it wasn't a balanced fitness. I was getting into like bodybuilding and things like that. So what ended up happening is there was an imbalance in my training because the martial art training was a lot healthier for my body because it was balanced. It had technique training, flexibility, strength, cardio, it had everything. But the physical fitness training that I was doing was more like bodybuilding type of training. And my body was suffering from the lack of balance. But, you know, Jenny really taught me the beauties of love, you know, and it was beyond like the beauty of just solo meditation and martial art training to me. You know, martial art training was like, it was like something that I was doing in the meantime until I was able to find love. That's how I felt. Like, I always, inside my heart, I always wanted love. You know, with the women that we had mutual attraction, of whom we had mutual attraction. But I never really found the right woman, or maybe it just wasn't the right time. And martial arts was like my preparation. Like, it was like the training of my body, my mind, and my spirit to be prepared that when I meet the right woman, that I'll be ready. And I just kept training and training and training, and then finally I met Jenny, and then that's when I put all my energy into her, and she became like my life. You know, and I was really willing to take the yin role. Like, I even desired it. Because she's more of an extrovert, she's more of like naturally yang. Like, yang meaning the one that didn't have a problem making the money, didn't have a problem working and providing, you know, like the financial aspect and everything. For me, I was so yin that I didn't feel like I didn't ever feel that I belonged anywhere else but with her and just at home. Like, I didn't feel that I, you know, connected with the people in the society because I just viewed life, you know, I viewed the world so differently than the average person. And I was so yin that I just wanted to pretty much be the one that just stayed at home, you know, and I was planning to, hey, you know, basically care for the children while she works, because she naturally has that working energy, that yang energy. And I didn't have that. I just wanted to watch the kids and train and meditate. There was conflict. As soon as I graduated college, there was conflict because she was working so much and I was working, and we barely saw each other. And I was like, you know, what's the point of all this? What's the point of us being together if we never see each other? So I was upset. You know, I wasn't happy. And then at that moment, I decided to have a child with her. You know, and then, you know, I basically got her pregnant. And then the plan was for her to continue working while I take care of the child. You know, and that was the plan. So that was what was going on. But then I ended up applying for a police job, and I ended up getting it. And then because I was making so much money, we ended up switching the roles. So I started working, and then she was the one that was supposed to stay home and take care of the kids. But because she's naturally yang, she had a very hard time adjusting to the home life and staying home. She was basically going crazy. Because it was basically like staying at home all day and really no life goals. Like no career goals. She had to give up the career. And she just stays home all day, and she couldn't really handle it because it's hard for her to find like things to occupy her mind in a healthy way. So it was a hard time for her. And I was working the police job, I was making good money, but we would argue at home, you know, because she wasn't happy in that role. So we did what we could to you know, to make it work. We ended up having more and more kids because I wanted 4 of them. We ended up having 4, you know, and, you know, I kept working the job, kept saving the money, and that was our life, you know. Like, I was planning to just work. I lived a very private life. You know, I wasn't on the internet with anything. I had no YouTube, no Facebook, none of that. I just lived a very private life. I planned to work and retire, you know, with a lot of money. You know, and just, I was planning to teach the martial arts to my children. And that was it. And basically what happened was, you know, I ended up losing my job due to discrimination and wrongful termination. And it was a big, like, setback. You know, and then basically we ended up going back to the original plan and having Jenny work, because that's what her energy wanted. You know, she wanted to get out there and pursue her own career. So we ended up deciding to open a restaurant because that was what her passion was cooking. And then she had all this passion, and we put all our life savings into putting it through this restaurant idea. And she put her energy into it, and she did it, but then she ended up getting pregnant again, and this time it was unplanned. And then it made it really difficult, you know, for her to remain motivated to run the restaurant while pregnant. And the business was hurting bad. You know, it's just like so much competition in the restaurant industry. And it was failing. And at that time, that's when, you know, I ended up pushing the martial arts and trying to make a living teaching the martial arts and the fitness. And then that's pretty much what it ended up leading towards today. And that's what I do full time. And Jenny, she's gotten to learn to appreciate the home life. And she's gotten to love it. And she's gotten to be able to express her own talents and creativity while at home to occupy her mind. And it was really hard for her to adjust to staying at home and to accept that, hey, you know, that I'll be the one making the money now, and that she will be the one supporting at home, taking care of the children. And she plays such a huge, important role into the overall development of this school. And me as a human being, I mean, she taught me a lot about love. And like I said from the very beginning, it was in my heart to want to connect with a woman on a deep level. It was beyond anything, beyond the martial arts. And she is the reason why I feel complete. She's the reason why I don't fear death. You know, she's the reason why I could truly be myself, literally without caring at all about what other people think about me. You know, without her, I think it would be hard to be myself at all times. You know what I mean? It'd be harder to be myself. Because there's always be in the back of my mind that, hey, you know, I still want to find a woman to be with. And then I may have to try to change certain behaviors of what I do or how I am in order to try to attract the right woman. You know, but it's like the way that I feel, and this is kind of how it was at the police job, is like I don't need anybody but her. Like I don't need nobody at all. Like if we didn't have to work, I wouldn't work, she wouldn't work, we just spend time all day together and we just spend time together, and that's all we do. I don't need nothing else, you know. But even though, you know, when we were together, maybe for about 2 years, I got drawn back to the martial arts training, not because of the fighting, but because of the balance in the training, like how it was a true balance of like total body healthy development in addition to spirit and meditation. So I got drawn back to the martial arts because of that, and it was also like an opportunity for me to express my creativity, you know. But she is the one that provides like meaning and purpose to my life, which is love. She represents love. You know, when I say that practicing martial arts should lead you towards love, that's kind of what I mean, is that like it should lead you towards like the connection to another human being in a very special and intimate way. But that can't be provided within the training. Like that has to be outside of the training. But the training is supposed to lead you towards that. So all the martial arts training that I did before meeting her prepared me to meet her and be ready for her. And when I train people here, it's a preparation for them to be prepared for love, to be able to give and receive love. You know, and it starts with loving yourself. It starts with caring for yourself. Caring for your own well-being. Being able to take care of yourself and have that self-love so that you can share that love with somebody else. And she completed, you know, my martial arts. You know, without her, I wouldn't be balanced. You know, before meeting her, before I practiced the martial arts, I had a really bad temper. When I started training the martial arts, my temper was a lot more calm and at peace, but it still would come out every so often. And even when I sparred, it would be like a violent sparring. It'd be like an MMA type of sparring. It would be with anger, and I wouldn't have control. And then after meeting her, I got in even better control of my anger and temper, and I had a lot more control of my entire body, and I was at much more peace. You know, she brought that peacefulness into me. But, you know, when I'm with her, I'm at peace. But it's the outside that brings drama into our marriage, or brings challenges into, you know, testing my peacefulness. It's the work world, the business world, it's the YouTube, it's the internet, it's the Facebook, it's the people from the outside that try very hard to disrupt my inner harmony. And because we live in a world where there's business and you have to basically fight for money, fight for customers, prove yourself, hand in your resume, you know, prove that you're, you know, provide good customer service and all this other stuff, it challenges you. Because you can't be at peace at all times. You need to fight sometimes. Not physically in most cases, but more so like on a professional level. Like basically like the competition between like Apple and Microsoft. You know, like where there's a professional competition. Like a competition between Nike and Reebok. You know, like a competition between McDonald's and Burger King. Like a competition between Export Fitness and Planet Fitness. It's like you're fighting for customers. You know, you're fighting for money to provide for your family. And that fighting could cause stress, not just on you, but also on your family, your wife, and your children. You know, but if it wasn't for that, I'd have so much peace. I wouldn't have to work. I wouldn't have to be on the internet. I wouldn't have to be on Facebook or YouTube, or I wouldn't have to teach. I'd just spend time with Jenny, spend time with the kids, teach my kids, and that's it. You know, but I had to provide for my family, and that forces me to develop more yang energy. And this yang energy is something that needs to be adequately controlled. Otherwise, you know, it could create a lot of disharmony, you know, within myself, within my family. And it's something that I know is not, too much of the yang energy is not good. It could get me in jail. It could get me killed. It could lead to divorce. You know, it could ruin my family. You know, ruin the love that I have with Jenny. You know, and without that love with me and her, I really wouldn't really find much meaning in what I do. Like, okay, you can make money, but you're making money for what? Like, why have so much money? Money doesn't really make me happy. You know, one of the main reasons why I had so many kids was because I felt that I had too much money. You know, when I had that police job, I had so much money that I was like, I need to share this money. You know what I mean? Like, all this money just for me and Jenny's too much. So I decided, you know, we decided to have kids. I decided to have kids. Because, like, you know, I want to share this money with somebody. But not just anybody. I don't want to just give it to, like, the homeless person in the street who's going to use it to buy crack or smoke heroin. I want to share that money with somebody who I could teach to manage the money correctly. You know, or appreciate the money. You know, basically live like a more simple lifestyle so they don't really need much money. So that's why I wanted to have kids, to basically share the money with my children. You know, but I really don't see a purpose in life with no love. Like, there needs to be love for there to even be a purpose in life. And the only reason why we make money is to support the love. Is to experience love for a longer period. Or to experience, you know, we have money to experience love. You know, and she gives meaning to my life. And that's why I teach and express the martial arts the way that I do, is because I'm looking at it from a different perspective. It's from a perspective of, like, love and family, not like violence and hatred and competition. Martial arts to me is an art, it's a meditation. It's not a way of, like, hurting people for profit. So I view it from a different perspective. You know, and the big reason why I am the way I am is because of Jenny. If it wasn't for her, I might be a fighter. Because if I have nothing to live for, if I don't care, if I don't see no purpose in life, I might fight. Because I know I'm good at fighting. You know, I know that I could be one of the best. I know I could make a lot of money in fighting. I know I could get fame from fighting. You know, I might, if it wasn't for her, I might have been a fighter. I really don't know what would have happened if I never met her. You know, but I did get into the police field. You know, and that's not a fighter, but it's just somebody that, you know, once you get into police field, it's somebody that you know that you might die, that you might have a higher likelihood of dying while working, and I accepted that. But it's hard to imagine how my life would be without Jenny. It would be really hard to imagine. I don't even know what would happen. I really don't know. I don't even know if I'll be living in Chicago. You know, it's just, you just don't know. It's kind of like saying, you know, how would my life be if my parents didn't immigrate to America? If they would have stayed in China, I would have been born and raised in China. How would my life been? I just don't know. But I know for a fact that I've always wanted to connect with a woman in a deep way. And that would always be in my heart. You know, it's just something that I would always want. I'd always be seeking for that. And if I didn't have that, I know that that's what I need to find like true happiness. That's just how I feel. It's just kind of like a woman alone can't create a child. A man alone can't create a child. You need a woman and a man together to create a child. And that's how I feel, is that if Jenny wasn't in my life, I feel that half of me would be missing. Half of my spirit would not be there. I wouldn't be complete. I'd be like missing one hand, or missing one leg, or missing one eye. It's like I need that woman to be complete. And because Jenny's in my life, I feel that's what makes my martial arts complete. Is because there's purpose behind what I do, and it's not based on destruction and hatred and violence. It's based on love, creativity, compassion. And she brings that beauty to the martial arts that I'm trying to let people know, that that's what the real martial arts is. It needs that love there. And I think with Bruce Lee, it is the same thing. Like, without Linda Lee, he wouldn't have been the Bruce Lee that we knew. I feel that Linda Lee had a huge impact in his life for him to be the person that he was. Without her, there's no way he would be the Bruce Lee that he was. And that's how I feel. There's no way I'd be who I am today if it wasn't for Jenny. And if without her, my expression of the martial arts may have been very violent, may have been very yang, may have not even been martial arts. It might have been just fighting. But I don't know. I just do know that it's in me to want to be with a woman in a deep and intimate way. You know, I'm thankful that I've met her, and I'm very thankful for the martial arts training that prepared me to be ready for love. And now I just look forward to just keep training and expressing my martial art while helping others potentially experience what I have experienced. That through the training in the martial arts, it can lead them towards love. And then that love can help them better, deeply understand the true meaning of martial arts. And then they could continue to spread that positivity through their expression.